Yeah, I mean, that was a complete defensive performance, probably the best since I've been here, honestly. I thought our guys really did a great job of loading up in the gaps because they're really, really good at dribble penetrating. And they're really good one-on-one players, and they kind of keep you off balance. So a team like SMU that's so dynamic offensively, we were able to turn them over and also do that without fouling, which was great. So staff did a great job of preparing them. Made a little bit of an adjustment to how we guarded. I thought it was good. Now we got to get better at it as the season goes on, because we got to keep guys out of the paint. We're too small to not be scrappy, and I thought today was one of the first times we were really scrappy.
Along those lines, though, offensively, Jalen's still dictating the tempo. He was doing so much good for you guys, and you guys kind of controlled that first half on the offensive side because of Jalen again, and that's a lot from his point guard. But then picks up his third foul with 17:49 in the second half. You guys were up 16, and that gave them every opportunity to start dictating pace, dictating tone, maybe cut into that lead. And Donovan comes in. KJ gets a lot of minutes there. 6.5 minutes later, when Jalen comes back, you actually had a bigger lead. So those minutes when he was on the bench and you actually extended the lead kind of says a lot about Donovan.
Yeah, great potential. I mean, he's an elite passer. We run these, our plays and our sets where we don't get certain things off him with House or whoever, but then also Donnie sees something that none of us see. He needs to find a way to get House's aggressiveness to score, but just an elite level passer. I thought House was terrific. We've got a good backcourt, and even Mash was rock solid the whole time. But I thought, and KJ coming off the bench as well, got some rebounds, made some shots. That's what a good team's all about. Now we get a really big win on the road. We got to flush it tomorrow. We got to enjoy it tonight, fly back tomorrow, and then regroup for obviously a rivalry game at home. So we try not to get too high. We try not to get too low, but that was a great team win.
Obviously, last year you guys had inside issues for most of the season. Can you talk to the play of Morris and Josiah and how they're on attack all night?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about last year that we weren't a complete team. And it's just when you're building a program, it takes time, just like Rob's doing right now. Like, there's zero doubt in my mind. They kind of looked like we looked last year at times. Though Rob's one of the best coaches I've been around. But we just looked way more ready for the moment all around. And it's great that when the game slows down, we can throw it down to those guys every now and then, because we're going to be a little bit non-traditional. We're going to play a little bit more double low post type stuff. And we've got to be able to get the ball out of the guard's hands, get it in there, not turn it over. So overall, those guys showed really good poise, and they passed it out too as well, which was great.
You want to say anything about New Mexico State now?
I haven't watched them. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is they got us at our place last year. We got them at their place. It's a great rivalry. I don't know how it's not close to, if not a sellout. Saturday, great game time, great opponents, fun team to root for. So I can't wait. But, I'm gonna enjoy tonight. And then once we get back tomorrow, I'll dive into them. So I don't know much about their team.
But for you guys to play with this much poise on the road the first time out this season, what does that say about this team?
I thought it was a great sign. So I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of wondering how exactly guys were gonna execute, how guys would be like, if other team went on a run, big plays, things like that. Because obviously, like playing at the Pit, obviously major home court advantage. And so we've had great turnouts. Red-white scrimmage, the exhibition game, and the first two home games, obviously. And so I was like, okay, like if we don't have that support around us, like how are guys gonna execute and really just kind of get into a flow. And I thought guys came out immediately. And I think we really showed a lot of like the maturity and just like the poise that we have on this team, because it was just like any other game. It was like with crowd, like all that didn't even matter. And it just shows that like when we do get in front of, like when we are in the Pit, it helps just elevate it even more. And so to come here, obviously it's a first year team. But SMU is a good program. Obviously, he's a great coach, and they definitely weren't bad players by any means. And so to be able to come into their place, beat them by 20, what I'm most excited about is we were able to hold them to 63. That's the biggest sign, because I knew we'd be able. We can score. Yep. I knew we'd have the weapons to run a score up, but I was more worried about how are we going to maintain this lead going into half.
I just got done writing about how you guys haven't really played defense yet.
No, yeah, it's true. Obviously, we've had really good scoring games, but I mean, obviously, we've been just trading buckets, like games coming down to the last 2 minutes. Like tonight, we really showed that we are capable of putting teams away. And kind of like you mentioned to Donovan, like going to this New Mexico State game, obviously there's a lot like riding on it just for everybody. Even for me, obviously, this is my first year, but I understand kind of like the culture and the tradition and rivalry there. And so and New Mexico State's another good program. First year, but I mean, definitely not a fluke by any means. And so if we can build on top of this, hold teams to 65 or less, I think we'll have a chance to be really good. And so, I mean, I'm excited. I love the way guys performed on the road. Donovan, obviously, great, just utility game. I didn't do a lot on the scoreboard, but I mean, he did obviously a lot from behind the scenes, just with assists and blocks, and just making plays happen. And obviously, a lot of other guys helped out as well. But Donovan was one of the craziest little stat lines he had. How much? What did he do? Yeah, like 1 point or
Donovan?
Yeah, like 1 point, 2 rebounds, 7 assists.
Only took one shot, yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, it just speaks on who he is. I mean, he's a very selfless guy. And so, yeah.
Geoff kind of mentioned this to Donovan when Jalen picked up his third foul.
Mm-hmm.
The lead was 16. Last year and the last few years for Lobo fans, there have been games where they have been up around that number and something like that happens and slips away. You guys were able to get up to the 20-point. Can you talk about that stretch of the game?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of going back to giving Donovan his flowers. Like, a lot of teams, they're very like starting five dominant. Like we have a lot of depth at every position, and especially as a freshman, to have him come in and not only like keep it going, but to keep it moving forward. I mean, I thought that was great, and because this team they played at Dayton their last game, and Dayton was up, I think, probably around there. I think like maybe like 20 or something, and then they cut it down to 2, and they had a brawl the rest of the half. And so for us to be able to keep this team down like that, especially with obviously Jalen getting into foul trouble, I mean, for me, it just it's just exciting, to know that we aren't heavily reliant on one player. Like obviously, I had a good offensive game. Obviously, first game literally didn't have any offense. It could be anybody's night, any night. And so, just from that way, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just trying to stay level-headed because obviously it's one game at a time. It's still only 3 games into the season. But, yeah.
So are there any nerves coming in being a first road trip?
Not really. I've done a lot of road trips in high school, so I've been kind of used to having to fly out, play teams at their place. So I wasn't really too nervous about that. I was ready to go when I came off the bench.
You guys, through 2 games last week, didn't exactly play a whole lot of great defense. Something the coach said too, not just myself, but like you guys come out tonight, you guys score 14 points in the first half off of their turnovers. Was there something that you guys did different, or just a kind of an emphasis on that pressure defense?
No, 100%. So what we did this week all in practice, we learned how to like really help the helpers. Like we'll be in a gap, and if there's a kick out to them, we show for the other guy. Like we just really worked on our rotations and help, and I think that really helped us out there tonight.
There was a point in the second half, you guys are up 16, and Jalen picks up his third foul, and he had been dictating tempo that whole first half. You guys go 6.5 minutes, 6 minutes and 32 seconds with him on the bench, and they had a chance to make a run. You're on the court a bunch of that time when he's on the bench, and you guys actually extended the lead to 17. Was that something going through your mind that, like, I know Jalen's on the bench right now, and I know this is their chance to make a run? Did anything go through your mind about
No, 100%. I think that's what they recruited me for heavy, is when Jalen has like his little motion, he has to get on the bench. That's where last year they didn't really have a point guard coming off the bench. So this year, I think when I fill that role, I just kind of keep the same tempo as him and just keep increasing the lead with him.
You ended up with, I know you know the numbers on the assists, 7 assists. I know that's your game, but like 7 assists is a lot for a guy coming off the bench. What was working tonight with just finding guys open? I think off the ball screens, our baseline people were doing amazing cuts, and they were just open every time on the back door, and then feeding our posts every time. Like they work hard down there, you feed them, they get you easy assists anytime. This tells, I know a lot of people that weren't paying attention, that you guys can be a pretty good team. How close do you think you guys are to being as good as you could be?
No, we're not near the surface how good we're going to be. I think we just keep working hard, keep improving and practicing games, and by the time the end of the season comes around, we're going to be looking pretty decent.
How is it playing with KJ out there with that second unit as guards? You guys combined for 11 assists tonight.
I think me and KJ do a great job of just sharing the rock to one another. Like I find him on the wing. Like I think I hit Braden on top of the 3 key. Like, I think me and him do a really well job of finding everyone on the court. And KJ is my right hand. When I hit him, I know it's going in for a strike.
And you spoke about Braden there. Big three to get him going, get that confidence going this season. What do you see from him?
No, I'm excited for that. I think BA is like having a hard time learning, coming off the bench and all that, and just adjusting the role. I think he's doing a great job of that tonight.
You guys got a game Saturday that, for all you newcomers, you guys don't know in New Mexico. It means something, right? You guys get the rivalries mean something,
Yeah.
but this is going to be your first New Mexico State game. I don't know that you guys have even mentioned it yet, but it's a game that means a lot to the fans. What does it mean to you to sort of represent, New Mexico and step up for that game on Saturday?
No, it means a lot. When I committed here, I knew I was putting the city on my back and all that. I'm ready to show out against New Mexico State and all that.
And how was it playing with Josiah and Udezi out there tonight?
It was smooth playing with those two as big. He's right next to me. He's shaking his head. We don't acknowledge him. But, it was good. He was backdoor cuts all the time. He got me most of my assists. Got a little dunk in there. He's all right.
And if he wasn't standing there?
I'll say something different.